Greetings, YouTube. I have had several requests for Cavalier grading. This isn't going to be a terribly long video, but I figured I would do a justice to Cavalier players who are on the fence about this new offer. Now, the good news is for Cavalier players, Tier 5 Basic are still sort of cheaper than you're used to seeing. The problem is you dip barely for Tier 2 Alpha, but you dip big time by Tier 5 Basic. You would have thought that the Cavalier amount would have gone down from 5 to maybe 3 for the same price, but when you have less than half, it does feel like a slap in the face. Now, I know that some of you have reached out to me in my previous videos and said, Prof, you need to tell Cavalier players that there's plenty of content to clear in the game now if you are not Thronebreaker. There's no excuse to not have a rank 3 6-star. You don't have to wait for purchasing offers. You can just do various content, especially something like 7-1 and 7-2, and fully explore them, and you'll be thankful. Obviously, the Abyss has been there for, well, it feels like forever now, but it's been, what, over a year? Definitely over a year since the Abyss came into the game. So, look, I get it. But with that being said, this is still far less than what Cavalier players deserve. I still think for the same price, it should be at least 3 Tier 5 Basic. And you say, well, what the difference between 2 and 3, that's not that big of a deal. Well, it is when you consider that it goes from $25 a piece worth of Tier 5 Basics to, 3 divided by 50. Was that 16 bucks? Let's just check that math. Once again, $16.67 a piece. So, I think this is just Kabam's way of trying to push people to become Thronebreaker, and I know for some accounts it's easier said than done. I also know for people who are going to push back against those comments saying, Prof, just have them clear content, they're going to say, look, I don't have the time to fully explore 7-1 or 7-2, and I certainly don't have the time to do the quote-unquote easy path, the easy completion path of the Abyss. But that's kind of where it stands right now. Kabam has a way to get either selectors to form shards that way, or the Abyss, of course, there's no selector, but you will get a fully formed Tier 5 class catalyst of whatever the algorithm gives you in that Tier 5 class catalyst crystal. So, I don't know what to tell you. If I'm a Cavalier player, I still look at this deal at about a C. And the problem is, a C isn't the worst kind of offer, but when you see the Thronebreakers an A, it's a tough pill to swallow. And again, I get that, but at the same time, this is Kabam trying to motivate Cavalier players. And I gotta tell you, Cavalier players, if this is a trend that's following, there's only going to be a wider and wider gap between Thronebreaker players and Cavalier players. And so, because of that, I really do feel like you just got to look at an offer today as motivation to try to become Thronebreaker, and you want to do it ideally before November. I know some people will say don't do that because you could get both offers for Cyber Weekend, but November's a long way away. We're still just in the beginning of August. It's just August 7th today. So yeah, I give it a C. I don't think it's trash. I don't think it's cash. I think it's somewhere in between. But this is another example of how Kabam views being Thronebreaker as 3 Tier 5 Basic more for the same price. That's a ton. That's more than you get in this offer in general for one. It would take all 3 purchase limits of this offer to barely be 1 Tier 5 Basic over what Thronebreaker gets in one purchase. So, yeah. Try to push yourself. Do what you can to figure out content. But at this point, it's clear, it's going to be a long journey for Cavalier players who are now essentially like, in some ways, the new uncollected players. So, there you go. Wish I had better news for you, but I keep it 100 on this channel. So, Cavalier players, continue to push yourselves. Once you become Thronebreaker, you'll be thankful that you did.